The buttercream cake had sunflowers on it. That was Frank's design. Every year since 1989, I ordered the same cake from the same bakery on Kingston Pike. Buttercream, sunflowers, vanilla sponge. Even after Frank passed, I kept ordering it because some traditions are too sacred to let go. It was sitting in the center of the table, 30 guests around my dining room, the room warm with candle wax and perfume, and I thought, this is a good birthday. I am 70 years old, and I am in my home, and I am loved. Then my daughter Vanessa stood up. She tapped her champagne glass with a butter knife. The room went quiet. She smiled at everyone and said, I have a big announcement. Mom's house is going on the market next month. She's agreed to move into assisted living so Kyle and I can finally start our chapter. She wants this for us. I watched the faces around the table shift, confusion, discomfort, a few nervous smiles. I had agreed to nothing. Not one word of that was true. I reached under my chair, picked up a manila envelope I had placed there before anyone arrived, and I slid it across the table toward Vanessa. Go ahead, sweetheart. Open it in front of everyone. Good day, dear listeners. It's Clara again. I'm glad you're here with me. Please like this video and listen to my story till the end, and let me know which city you're listening from. That way I can see how far my story has traveled. My name is Doris. I'm 70 years old, and I live in Knoxville, Tennessee. For 34 years, I worked as a school librarian in the same district. I shelved books, ran reading programs, helped children fall in love with stories. It was never glamorous work, but it was honest, and I was proud of it. I married Frank when I was 28. He was a general contractor, a man who could build anything with his hands. In 1987, he built our house at 114 Briarwood Lane, brick by brick, beam by beam. He poured the foundation himself. He hung every cabinet door. He paid off the mortgage in 2004, and we celebrated by planting a magnolia in the front yard. That house was appraised at $385,000, but to me, it was worth something no number could touch. Frank passed away 3 years ago, pancreatic cancer. It was quick, and it was merciless. One day, he was grilling chicken in the backyard, and 11 weeks later, I was picking out his casket. He left everything to me. The house, the savings, the truck he never let anyone else drive. I stayed. I kept the garden. I kept the routines. I kept the sunflower cake. Our daughter Vanessa is my only child. She's 44 now. Growing up, she was close with her father. Daddy's girl. Through and through. But after Frank died, something shifted. Vanessa's visits stopped being about comfort. They became about logistics. How much is the house worth? Have you thought about selling? Are you keeping up with the taxes? I'm not a loud woman. I never have been. But I notice when someone stops asking how I'm doing and starts asking about the deed. It started about 6 months before my birthday. Vanessa and her husband Kyle began pressuring me to downsize. Kyle is 46, a real estate agent with bleached teeth and a firm handshake that always lasts a beat too long. He framed it as financial wisdom. Vanessa framed it as safety. You're 70, Mom. What if you fall? What if there's a fire? I resisted gently. I said I would think about it. I thought that would be enough. It was not. On February 14th, Valentine's Day of all days, we had a family dinner at my kitchen table. Kyle slid a printed sheet across to me. I looked down and my stomach turned. It was a listing mock-up for my own house. My house, with virtual staging photos, a price estimate, and a description that said, charming contractor built home estate sale potential. Kyle smiled and said, We've already talked to a buyer. All you need to do is sign. You'll be comfortable at Maplewood Village. It's very nice for women your age. I looked at Vanessa. She nodded. Dad would have wanted this. He'd want us to thrive, not you rattling around in 5 rooms alone. The paper felt rough under my fingertips. I wanted to tear it in half. Instead, I folded it neatly, put it in my purse, and said, Let me sleep on it. That night, after they left, I stood in the hallway outside Frank's old office. I could still smell the faint trace of his aftershave in that room, even after 3 years. I opened his filing cabinet for the first time since. Inside that cabinet, I found the original deed, both our names, right of survivorship. The house was 100% mine. No ambiguity, no question. I also found Frank's handwritten notes about the property, receipts from every repair, every improvement, and then I found a letter. It was tucked behind the deed in a plain white envelope with my name on it. Frank's handwriting. I opened it with shaking hands. It said, "Don't let anyone rush you out of our home. Not even Vanessa. I built this for you." I sat on the floor of that office and cried for 20 minutes. Then I wiped my face and went to the computer. I checked the county assessor's website. Something felt wrong, and I needed to know what. That is when I found it. Someone had filed a change of mailing address request on my property records 3 months earlier. My property tax notices were being redirected to 88 Fieldcrest Drive. That was Kyle and Vanessa's address. I called the county clerk the next morning. A woman named Patricia confirmed it. The change was submitted by Kyle using a form with my name on it, but the signature was not mine. I asked Patricia to email me a copy of that form. She did. I printed it out. Then I went to the dollar store and bought a blue folder. I labeled it Briarwood. I put in the deed, the forged address change form, the clerk's email, and Frank's letter. That evening, my phone buzzed. A text from Vanessa. "Mom, stop dragging your feet. Kyle says the buyer won't wait past April." I stared at that text for a long time. This was not impatience. This was not concern for my safety. They had been laying groundwork to take my house out from under me. I went back to the filing cabinet. Behind the tax records, I found one more document, a trust agreement, drafted by an attorney named Eleanor Marsh. It was complete but unsigned. Things moved fast after that. In March, Vanessa and Kyle showed up at my door on a Saturday morning at 7:12 a.m. I was still in my robe, coffee in hand. They had a locksmith with them, and a man with a camera and a tripod. Kyle walked in like he owned the place and said they were just getting the house ready. "It's easier if you're not here, Doris." I told them no. I told them this was my home, and they were not changing my locks or photographing my rooms. Kyle's voice dropped low. "Doris, I'm trying to be nice about this. You can't maintain this house. You're one bad hip away from a nursing home anyway. Let us handle it while you still have a choice." I could hear the ticking of the wall clock in the hallway. It was louder than my breathing. Vanessa crossed her arms. "Mom, you're not being brave. You're being selfish. Dad left this for the family. Not just for you." That one cut deep. I let it show. I let my lip tremble, let my voice crack. I told them I was confused, overwhelmed. I asked for just a few more weeks. Vanessa rolled her eyes. "Fine, but we're listing May 1st whether you're ready or not." They left. The locksmith looked embarrassed on his way out. That afternoon, I picked up the unsigned trust document from the blue folder. I read the name at the top. Eleanor Marsh, Elder Law and Estate Planning Attorney, Downtown Knoxville. I dialed the number. A woman answered on the second ring. I told her my name was Doris, and that I found her name in my late husband's files. There was a pause. Then Eleanor Marsh said, "Your husband Frank came to see me 11 months before he passed. I've been wondering when you'd call." I drove downtown the next day. Eleanor Marsh was 58 years old, with silver-streaked hair and reading glasses that hung on a chain around her neck. She had been practicing law for 30 years. She was calm, direct, and warm in a way that made you trust her without needing to be convinced. She told me everything. Frank had come to her in early 2021. He had overheard Vanessa and Kyle talking at a barbecue, discussing the house's value and what they would do with it once Frank was gone. It had shaken him. He wanted to set up a revocable living trust that would transfer the house solely to me with an anti-transfer clause. That meant the property could not be sold, gifted, or transferred to anyone without my notarized, independently witnessed consent while I was alive. The trust was drafted. But Frank died before the signing appointment. Eleanor looked at me across her desk and said, "He ran out of time. But we don't have to. We can execute a new trust today with the same protections. You're the sole owner. You have every right." I showed her the blue folder. She looked at Kyle's forged address change form, and her expression hardened. "That's mail fraud, possibly the beginning of an elder financial exploitation case under Tennessee Code, 71-6-117. We document everything." I signed the new trust that week. It was notarized, witnessed by 2 of Eleanor's staff members, and filed with the County Register of Deeds on March 29th. Before I left her office, Eleanor gave me one instruction. Don't tell them. Let them come to the table thinking they're winning. I drove home, put the blue folder in a fireproof lockbox under my bed, and started planning my 70th birthday party for April 18th. I invited everyone. My church friends, my neighbors, my retired teacher colleagues, my best friend Ruth, and of course, Vanessa and Kyle. I also invited Eleanor Marsh. I told Vanessa she was a friend from book club. 2 weeks before the party, I called Vanessa. I made my voice soft, tired. I told her, "You're right, honey. I've been thinking. After the party, let's sit down and talk about the house. I don't want to fight." Vanessa lit up. I could hear Kyle in the background. She told him, "She's finally caving." Kyle texted a realtor that same night to schedule a walkthrough for April 20th. He was so confident that he brought paperwork to the birthday party. A quitclaim deed, transferring my house to Vanessa and Kyle for $1. He tucked it inside a birthday card that said, "Happy 70th, Mom." The party was beautiful. 30 people in my dining room. Candles on the table. The sunflower cake in the center. Ruth sat next to me. Eleanor sat at the far end, sipping iced tea, watching. After dinner, Vanessa stood up, tapped her champagne glass, and gave her announcement. She told the whole room that my house was going on the market. That I had agreed, that I wanted this for them. The room went stiff. Ruth's jaw tightened. A few neighbors looked at me with wide eyes. I smiled. I reached under my chair. I pulled out the manila envelope, and I said, "Go ahead, sweetheart. Open it in front of everyone." Vanessa opened the envelope with a little laugh, like she expected a sentimental card. Her smile faded fast. Inside were 4 documents. The first was a certified copy of the Briarwood Living Trust, naming me as sole trustee and beneficiary with an irrevocable anti-transfer clause for my lifetime. The second was a copy of the fraudulent address change form filed by Kyle, with the county clerk's written notation that the signature did not match mine on file. The third was a letter on Eleanor Marsh's firm letterhead, stating that any attempt to sell, list, or transfer 114 Briarwood Lane without my independently verified consent constituted elder financial exploitation under Tennessee law and would result in immediate criminal referral. The fourth was Frank's handwritten letter. "Don't let anyone rush you out of our home." Vanessa's face drained of color. Kyle grabbed the papers. He read them. He went pale. You can't just... We had an agreement." Eleanor stood up from her seat. She smoothed her jacket and spoke in a voice so steady it filled the room. "There was no agreement. There was pressure. And that form you filed with the county? That's a felony, Mr. Barlow. I've already sent a copy to the district attorney's office and the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation's Elder Abuse Unit." Kyle tried to recover. "I was just helping with the mail." Eleanor did not blink. "You forged her signature. The county has the original. It's not even close to her handwriting." Vanessa turned on Kyle. "You told me she agreed to the address thing." Kyle snapped back. "Shut up, Vanessa." The room was silent. 30 people watching. Ruth leaned over and whispered, "Good for you, Doris." I stayed seated. I folded my hands on the table. I am not selling my house. I am not leaving my house. And I am not signing that quitclaim deed you hid inside a birthday card. I picked up the card, opened it slowly, and the deed slid out onto the table. $1. For my home. For Frank's home. Gasps filled the room. Everything unraveled fast after that. Within 48 hours, Eleanor's office notified Kyle's real estate brokerage about the forged county document. His broker's license was flagged for review by the Tennessee Real Estate Commission. He was suspended pending investigation. His listing clients started pulling their contracts. Within a month, his income collapsed. The district attorney's office opened a preliminary investigation into elder financial exploitation. Kyle was required to appear for a formal interview. Vanessa called me 4 times in the weeks that followed. The first call, she was crying and apologizing. The second call, she was angry. "You humiliated me in front of everyone." The third call, she was begging. "Kyle's going to lose everything. The fourth call was just silence, then a hang-up. By June, Vanessa had moved out of 88 Fieldcrest Drive. Kyle was sleeping in his office. Their marriage cracked under the weight of what they had tried to do. I sat down with Eleanor and rewrote my will. I removed Vanessa as primary beneficiary. I restructured the trust so that when I pass, the house goes to a local Habitat for Humanity chapter and a scholarship fund at the school district where I spent 34 years. In August, a letter arrived. Handwritten. No return address. I recognized the handwriting. It was Vanessa's. I opened that letter sitting on my porch. Vanessa said she was in therapy. She said she was sorry. She did not ask for money. She did not ask about the house. She did not make excuses for Kyle. It was the first honest thing she had written to me in years. I read it twice, then put it in the blue folder. I did not respond. Not yet. I will decide when I am ready. I kept the house. I replaced the kitchen curtains that Frank always said he would update but never did. I planted tomatoes and zinnias in the backyard beds he built with his own hands. On Thursdays, I go to a watercolor class at the community center. I am not talented, but I love the quiet of it, the way the brush sounds against wet paper. Twice a week, I volunteer at the school library. The children call me Miss Doris. Every other Friday, Ruth and Eleanor and I have dinner together. Eleanor became a real friend, not just a lawyer. In the evenings, I sit on the porch. Frank's chair is still there, right beside mine. The magnolia he planted is taller than the roofline now. I didn't win with anger. I won because Frank loved me enough to try to protect me, and I loved myself enough to finish what he started. I am not heartless. I left the door open for Vanessa, but it is my door, in my house, and she will have to knock this time. Your home is more than walls and a roof. It is your history, your peace, your right. And no one, not even your own child, gets to take that from you because they decided your chapter is over. It is never too late to protect what is yours. So, let me ask you this. What would you have done at that birthday table? Would you have handed her the envelope, or would you have waited? Tell me in the comments. If this story moved you, please hit the like button and share it with someone who needs to hear it. Subscribe so you don't miss my next story. And tell me, which city are you listening from today? I love seeing how far these stories travel. Until next time, take care of yourselves. You matter more than you know.